the Mitpachat.
Can you imagine a mitzvah so powerful it could save your life? And there are no shortage of stories chronicling its legendary power. These are a few of those stories. You're watching the Mitpachat Chronicles.
Hi everyone, Miss Yata Dishmaya. Welcome to the Mitpachat Chronicles. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing so that you can stay up to date with all the latest episodes. And if you like this video, please join in the mitzvah and share it. I'm super excited today. Here to talk about her journey in head coverings is the owner and founder of Wrapunzel. I'd like to welcome Andrea Grinberg.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Oh my God, I'm super excited. And I got to tell you, like, I remember when I started head covering, I was totally naive. I think I was like, I don't even think I had a clue what I was getting into. And I remember, right, because like YouTube has everything, how to fix anything in 5 steps, and I feel like I'm going to get married. I'm sure someone out there knows how to direct me. And lo and behold, I come across your video.
Aw.
And I was like, I can't even tell you how long it took me to get my wedding look together. I can't even tell you. What I didn't know was about the shapers, but here to talk and guide us in everything and tell us about her journey. I mean, I'm super excited to hear it. So how did Wrapunzel come about? What has life been like for you since Wrapunzel? Just tell me everything about, about what it's all about.
Okay, and feel free to guide me because it's been long. It's been since, 2013 since
Wow.
The business started, and 2011 since I started blogging and making tutorials. So it's been a while.
Now, what made you say, because I remember the young one. I remember the younger videos, right? Like when it's just like you in the living room and it's like, what made you just say, I'm going to do this? Because, you know, it's like one, like I give you so much kudos because one, it's like, you're getting yourself ready in your mirror when you're taking on this mitzvah. Then you're going outside, but to say, I'm going to go now on, you know, really national, like a national platform and do tutorials. Like what made you say like, yeah, this is a good idea?
So that's actually a really great question. So back when I got married and I moved from Israel to Chicago, I just came to wrapping. I don't think I'm a particularly creative person. Like I don't really knit or like, I don't really make something out of nothing, but for some reason, pairing scarves with outfits was just a really fun thing for me to do too. And I didn't know about the shapers or velvet headbands either. So I had some really unfortunate incidents when it came to like tree branches and stuff.
Like a malfunction.
Right. But the thing is, I wasn't living in Israel anymore. I was living in Chicago. And in Chicago at the time, women were wearing like shaitels and wigs, or they were wearing black snoods. And no one I met necessarily loved covering their hair. It was just something that you did. It's, you know, you got to cover your hair after you're married. And honestly, some people really hated it.
I'm hearing that. I'm telling you, it's like the same story over and over.
Right. And a lot of people, unfortunately, still do. Thank God a lot more people do love it now, like with like,
right.
I hope that I've done some good in the last, you know.
You have.
But so I got these comments being like saying, how do you do that? How did you do that? And like, I know I'm going to be talking a lot, but I'm an introvert. You know, I'm not, you know, I recharge by myself. So it was definitely not in my personality to go out and make YouTube tutorials. And back then, you know, 10 years ago, this is not like,
yeah,
not
I remember when I launched my channel, it was like 6 years ago. Like you didn't really see like a lot of frum women or anything. You know, it really was like a place of, I don't know, like maybe like you see a university lecture. It wasn't like a how-to. Right. And so, I mean, it definitely was a different place than it is now. Right. Today. I mean, today there's like no shortage of information. And so you're going out there, you're starting YouTube. I mean, were you afraid to see yourself play back? Were you afraid when your peers were starting to see you? Like, what was this all about?
It started happening when enough people were asking me, oh, how do you do that? And I showed a couple of people, but there were also other people that we couldn't make it work in terms of scheduling. So I was like, okay, I'll just take a video and send it to you.
Yes.
Then I went on YouTube at the time, and there was, I know there were like Muslim hijab tutorials, and there was some zechut tutorials with like just basic square scarves, but they were all in Hebrew. Like, so to search them, you couldn't really search like necessarily headscarf, tichel, or anything like that and find anything. So in my world, there was basically nothing out there. And, then thank God everything was fine, but I had a minor health scare where I thought, God forbid something could happen to me. And I really came to that realization. I was actually at a mikvah at the time where I was like, I can't leave this life without at least putting out the instructions on how to do this, because this is not fair. Here I am loving covering my hair, and everyone I've met hates it.
Right. I know.
So, like I would never tell anyone to do or not do anything or how to cover her hair, but for someone that wants to do this, like the instructions and tools should be out there. So that's when I started. And when I started, I don't know if you've seen like the beginning, but like I didn't talk in my videos. I had like some nice Rachmaninoff playing in the background, and I was like, all like, just very, very shy, but, showing. And eventually I started talking, and, and the videos saying,
oh my gosh, she has a voice.
I know. I also know I have like a strange accent, so it was very hard for me to start talking, but it's fun. Like, look, when you show something, it's very different to say like, make sure that this is this big and it feels like this and it's not too tight, and like go over or under, like it's different to say something. So then I became, basically the videos got where they were supposed to go. The people that I wanted to see them were seeing them. But what I was not expecting was for the videos to go far beyond the Jewish community.
I know, I remember when I started seeing that, and you see these women who weren't Jewish were now covering, and it's almost become like a phenomenon of like women like covering their hair, which Baruch Hashem, this is like a great thing. It really is. And I think what was so special about it is that you had like all types of women, all races, all sizes, all different styles, and it's like you really could find yourself in any one of these styles. But what was really great is that, I think in this day and age, there is a real problem with society dictating what beauty is, and what you're supposed to look like. And I know that for myself, a lot of the feedback I'm always getting from women is that they feel that somehow if they put on a tichel that they're not beautiful. And I don't know where they got that from, because I'm telling you, I think some of the most stunning and gorgeous women are covering their hair. And there are a lot of even goyim, like you said, who are like, I've had goyim say to me, like on a Monday, that they spent all Saturday trying to replicate a style. Now, mine is like a very simple, I call it the Rambam, right? Just a simple, I call it the Rambam, right? It's like, it's just simple, because I'm not creative either, right? I think part of the reason why I launched this series is to get like some kind of pointers from everyone else, like on how to do. But I felt like there was unfortunately, a growing consensus that somehow if you're covering, you're not beautiful. And so I'm really glad that, you have a platform where women, like I said, of all through the gamut, whether they want a really, really big or really, really small, there's something for everyone. And I really love that you put that out there.
Yeah, that's really, I really feel like that's my job. Because I've never met a woman who doesn't suit the headscarf style. It's just about finding the right colors and shape and something that she enjoys and she loves. And again, if someone is not feeling beautiful, then that's going to come out in how she acts, and and that's it's going to be all over there. So like in the end, like Hashem wants us to be happy, right? And hopefully the mitzvah are giving us, some instructions on how to do that, some guidance, but like there's so much room within those instructions to find ourselves and to express ourselves.
I know.
So I'm going to just backtrack a little to what you're saying. So it is really amazing that so many, people, I set out to like provide instructions for, Jewish women that covered like myself. But what I realized, and I've been, done not extensive, but enough research on this that like throughout history, like every major religion that I've studied has some sort of sect or something that talks about covering one's head.
It's true. It's very
And
true.
most religions talk about like someone's aura or energy, and so much comes out through our face and our head, and like, you know, that covering it like channels our energy. We know about this in Kabbalah, that like that our energy is channeled through our face, and that, you know, like this basically harnesses our energy in many ways. And it's amazing how even women in secular society have connected to this. Like I have women that have like anxiety or PTSD or ADD who are covering, or migraines also, who like use the pressure of the scarf to like alleviate their migraines. I will say if you wrap incorrectly, you will create migraines. So that's my job to help people not do that also. There are people also that simply can't cover and can't stand the sensory feeling of having something on their head. And then usually the Rav will give them a heter to uncover, and that's like a rare circumstance. So like, but really for someone that wants to cover, like my job, I really feel is like give them as many options as possible to do so.
And you've done a great job. Yeah. You really have.
Thank you. And like what I find really interesting, which is shocking to a lot of women who, let's say, feel that covering is a burden, is that there's this really quite large like movement of women that call themselves like political feminists who have started covering their hair like this, because it's a movement where they say like, you know, this is my body, this is my hair, and I'm going to choose what I cover and who sees what, and you don't own my hair. And, you know, like I'm beautiful without having my hair out. And sometimes like most of them are not full-time coverers, but they will cover their hair. And like, I was like, what? Like, you know, this symbol for so many people, the symbol of oppression has become liberation for so many people. It's amazing. Like,
I know. I don't know if it was like, I know I spoke with Yochevet's daughter, Talia, and I know I mentioned it there. I think I mentioned it in another episode where I went to this doctor, a Jewish doctor, by the way. And when she saw me, you know, covered in my mitpachat, she literally like, I think she thought I was oppressed and getting beaten somehow. Like she was like, you can call me anytime. And I'm like, cause I cover my hair, like, what if I don't want to have my hair, like you said, out everywhere, and I don't want to show everything to the whole world? Like, isn't that my right too? Like to decide that I wanna, like beauty to me is not defined by the newest runway ad. You know, that's not beautiful to me. And I find that sometimes, you know, that charm that sometimes that almost speaks more to me than even what the outside is. Like I think a lot of us, like, I don't know, I think for myself, like I'm of a certain age, right? And I think after you've gone through the rodeo a few times, you're kind of done with the whole fakery. Show me who you are. And I feel like sometimes, you know, my mitpachat, there is no extra. Like you just see Devorah Esther. That's it. You see me, you know what you're getting, and that's it. And I feel like what I think people start to notice about me more is now my personality, because there's not all this extra distraction. I don't know. Have you gotten that reaction as well?
Yes. I will be the first to say that like that a very wild and colorful, flamboyant tichel, like again, depending on someone's personality, if it suits her personality, someone who's very extroverted and bubbly, then it says something about who she is, and then you can really see her through it. That's not, that sort of style is not going to work so well on me. I might wear it like if I'm modeling or something for the company, but like, this is more my style because it's more,
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, it's more nuanced.
I really love that.
Thank you. I like it too. It's like, it's beautiful, but it's a little more quiet. And I feel like this represents like better who I am.
And it almost is like a side pony. Like, remember the side ponies we used to do?
And I'm like a fidgeter, like, and sometimes a nail picker. So like usually having something like this to just play around with is like very, very helpful.
I love it. I really, really, really love it. I mean, it's so elegant. It's so regal. I feel like it just makes a woman look so much more polished. I really do. It's just.
So I think like, and one thing you were saying about the idea of like a tichel or mitpachat being, let's say, less polished than a sheitel, which is, it's a common misconception. I've had women write to me who get a job teaching at a Jewish school and they're not allowed to wear this, even in a subdued color because it's not professional. And
I had an email like that today, and it was so heartbreaking because, the person that wrote it was literally, it was almost like the way she described it, my heart just broke. Like immediately it broke. I mean, Chas v'shalom, that any woman should feel that anything is being forced upon her, whatever way that is, right? And I feel like, when I came into Klal Yisrael, I took on the Mitpachat. I actually did not have, I had challenges, but not like a lot of the challenges that many of the women face. So I was really so saddened when I started becoming aware of the controversy. And what I started also becoming aware was there were women, I would go to do like a lecture that had nothing to do with the mitpachat, nothing to do with the tichel. And there would be women that would come up to me and they would say how they felt like they wanted to take it on, but they didn't feel the support. And I'm so saddened. Like, I really am so saddened that even exists for any woman to feel that way. I mean, I really hope that, one of my biggest thing is not only like letting people know the information, like, hey, there's a shaper out there, but also, hey, there's a whole community of women who are there to support you and to lift you up and to say you are beautiful, whatever style, like you said, the big style, the more, quiet style, that we're here and we're here for you as well. As sisters in Klal Yisrael, like, we're here for you.
Right, right. And in the past, like, again, I don't know so much about this, but I know there were certain like tichel styles that, they were shmatas. Like there's this concept in our head that if we have a piece of cloth on our head, that it's a shmata, and it's somehow, it's basically your leftover laundry or something like that. And, this is before we had like the no slip headbands and stuff. I mean, I know people covered beautifully, in the times of Abraham, but like recently, when coming over to America, like that was what we wore when we're cleaning our house. It's not necessarily something beautiful. So that, I think there's just still that misconception, but hopefully it's improving. That can't be professional.
Ori said something which I thought was so like wise. And she said, when people say you're coming here with the shmata, she goes, it's the shmata that's cleaning my soul. And I thought that was so smart for her to say, I mean, is there that misconception that it's a shmata on your head?
Yeah, and look, and the things, I do understand that like certain workplaces have a dress code and they want their employees to look professional, but the idea that a tichel can't look like, if you want to just say, let's imagine this in like a dark brown with like a bit of sparkle and like a nice brooch or pin there, like that's going to look very polished.
Honestly, that is really, really stunning. Like you need to tell me what link that is on your site, because I really want to see that. Believe it or not, I live in Connecticut. Now in Connecticut, and I want to put this out here too, in case people, don't know, do know, because we're talking about the workplace. Now I've worked for places like Bloomberg. I worked for a lot of professional places. I am a legal professional by trade. And I've not had any pushback whatsoever. But I will say, I'm going to put this out here because I know Connecticut has it. And everybody, wherever you are, if you're in the US, you'll have to check your state individually. But we have something that's called the Crown Act. And the Crown Act literally protects all women, whether you're Jewish, non-Jewish, African-American, whatever it is. If you have wild and curly hair, or you have dreads, you're protected in that style. So I know Connecticut has that. And I think that women, because this is also something I hear a lot from women about, like, I want to wear it, but not at work because I can't wear it at work. And I really think that if you really feel that way, check what the laws are. You can put the Crown Act and in Google. I think Google can find anything at this point, and you can put the Crown Act New York, Crown Act California, Crown Act Montana, and just see or head covering laws or hair laws in the workplace in your particular state. And I think that women should arm themselves with all the information in your workplace, whether it's Jewish, whatever it is. I think that the more information you have, the better informed you are to make decisions, whatever that decision is.
Right. Exactly. Thank God, with where we live, like the law is generally on our side. And in a lot of places it's not. And my understanding is that like you can cover your head, especially if it's for religious reasons, in most places in America. What I find also is that, a lot of women don't necessarily want to stick out and don't want to rock the boat and don't want to have that awkward discussion with their employer. So that's like what, like, I feel like my job is as well. Like if someone is like 100% doesn't want to do it, all the power to you. That's why we have shaitels, but if someone is like 50-50, like really wants to do it, then my job is to give that woman support and make her feel like, even if she's the only one at her workplace, that she goes back and she has that community and that support and people cheering her on. Because, if this is something that's going to make her happy and authentic and make the quality of her work better, which ultimately, if you feel good about how you're presenting yourself, then that your quality of your work is going to be better. Then I'm here to support her and not make her feel like she's completely rocking the boat and sticking her neck out. I did that. Like I did that work, and that was hard. But now there's so many of us, so that like. That's
right. And I think that is what's so great about like things like YouTube and all like even like places like your actual website, where you start to hear the stories, the blogs, people are coming forward. There are more and more. I myself, it's funny. I had the first guest of the series. She happens to live like maybe 2-3 miles from me. And there's a lot of Jewish people in our area. We are the only two that cover. The only two.
Wow.
I mean, Hashem, Hashem will never leave you anywhere by yourself, but we are the only two that cover. But I got to tell you, like, I've said this a few times, I'll repeat it again. Like, there's some people, I'm sure you get a lot of questions, and they say, what do I say to someone who, is Metza or whatever? And I say, you don't say anything. You have to live this. You have to embody. It's like you said, it will come out. I got to tell you, like, my Mitpachat, it's almost like... It almost like it's a part of me. So sometimes I don't even realize that it's on anymore. And people, oh my God, I really love it. I love how you match. How do you get everything? I don't know. I ask Hashem and he does it for me. I don't even know how it happens, but he does it. And I feel like, I think, like one of my guests said, it's especially in the beginning, you feel like the Yetzirah is knocking on your door and giving you a lot of trouble. And he's coming to see if you're buying anything he's selling. And I think after a while, it all dies down, right? The Yetzirah finally says, like, I don't have a customer here, right? So I'm going to move on, and ask for shalom that you should move on to anything else as well, because you don't want to get tested. But I don't know. I feel like at this point for myself, in a town where, let me tell you, we're in a very affluent area. Mm-hmm. So, there's all these reasons why people used to say we shouldn't cover and you shouldn't this, and you don't want to like stick out. You don't want to this. I don't know. I felt like in a lot of ways I stuck out for all the right reasons. Like boys stop me on the street, or they would stop her and they would say, I really love that. I don't know. I feel like sometimes too, I feel, especially in this generation, that we are coming to a place where it's almost like an assembly line of the same person, right? Mm-hmm. We all have to think, speak, and act the same way. Think, speak, and act the same way. And I almost feel like individuality is being lost somewhere along the way. I know that's definitely the case here in Connecticut. Like that's definitely, and so I don't know if Hashem just gave me a lot of chutzpah as a Spanish girl, just like a lot of chutzpah. And like I always say, like, I'm a Spanish girl. So I say, we have this like little season. I don't know if they have it where you are. It's called sazon, right? Sazon, you can look it up. It's from Goya. It's sazon. It's so flavorful. And sometimes I think Hashem is constantly sprinkling that on me, like just to be a little flavorful. But I think it is different. And it's difficult sometimes, depending on where you are, like how confident are you, but we're in the wilderness out here. There is no one. There is no one.
Right. And not everyone has that situation, and not everyone feels comfortable with that. But like, it's so nuanced. And I love what you said about like at some level, there's the expectation that we all be the same, whether we all believe the same thing. It's like, Hashem didn't make the world that way. We know That's that. Right. We see that, He didn't
make any of us perfect. That's the other thing too. And I think that sometimes, I think what I have really loved about, a public platform is kind of growing with the people. And it's literally that you're growing through your mistakes. You're growing through your hard times. And I think that's what put the sazon on me, right? It was all the mistakes.
Get off the desk, please. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. All this Sasson, everything that he's put on, I feel like, it's okay, right? Like it's okay. If whatever you're going through in the world, we're not perfect people, right? We're not perfect people. We're going through a journey. I really feel like let's just get through it together, right? Like the human experience is such a hard one. You don't need any more trouble to it. And I really just would love for women to really come together and support each other in this mitzvah, even if you're not covering, if you're a shayta wearer, like, okay, maybe it's not for you, but don't knock someone else.
Exactly. And I think one very, like, this is something that's said over and over again in all like psychological fields and everything. It's like, when someone says or does something negative towards you, it says nothing about you and everything about them.
That is so true.
That's a very hard thing to internalize, especially if someone's feeling, I go out, when I wear, and I'll talk about my own journey like later, but like when I wear these, like I feel great. So like someone can say like, why you have that thing on your head? And I'm like, cause I love it. Like, why you asking me? Like, but
don't you have one on your head?
Exactly. Like I've been blessed with, that confidence where like, I don't, and there's many areas of my life that I don't like sticking out, but this is one way that I am proud, but not every person is like that. So one kind of, even not a nasty comment, but let's say a curious, but maybe intrusive comment about that might set someone to the point where they feel, like going home and crying and never covering their hair again. So
it's true.
Sensitivity, like it is important. And like, I don't know, I think an openness and curiosity to each other's experience is really like just we make assumptions about other people that they have the same reality that we do. And it's just not true.
All the time. And when we do it, we're told all the time, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. But what are we doing? We're judging the book by its cover. And you're right. I think that, and again, this is also another problem that we as a society have unfortunately fallen into, is that we come with all these preconceived notions. We're not listening to each other anymore. And I think that we've just shut down. And the most dangerous thing that you can do is put a label on somebody, because once you've done that, you don't allow somebody to be anything but that label.
Oh my God.
That's it.
I was just having this conversation with someone right before like having this like talk with you.
I mean, you don't allow, and your brain doesn't allow for you to allow that person to be anything else. And I always say, friendships are built on bridges of common ground. Like you don't have to believe everything that someone else believes. But I know that there's a common place for everyone. And especially like in Klal Yisrael, like there's so many things that unite us. And it just really saddens me that that it's a mitzvah that kind of almost divides us, which is so ironic to me. Like, I think one of the greatest gifts that Hashem has given me is the ability just to take a step back and just listen to someone else and their point of view.
Right.
Even if you don't agree with it, I don't have to agree with it. I'm just giving you a space to listen to what you're saying and to just say, I'm not going to attack you either,
And and we do have to acknowledge that some people are so used to being attacked that they will assume that they're being attacked. And you have to say over and over that. I do think like an openness and a curiosity about each other's experience is like, it's everything like that. If you want to ask like, what's gotten me this far in terms of Wrapunzel and everything, it is like just this curiosity and like what are other people's experiences? Like, I believe that my job, like as a businesswoman, is like to listen to my customers, like, to like, like just, and that's like they're everything. Their feedback is everything. That's the only reason Wrapunzel exists is because people said they wanted it. No qualifications and creating a business.
This is what's so great. I mean, I have to ask you, because you're starting on YouTube, right? And, and the videos are growing and growing and growing and growing. Okay. So I'm sure you have like all these talks with yourself along your journey. Like, okay, we're here. Now we're going here. And now you're coming to the point of Wrapunzel. Take me from YouTube to like, we've launched Wrapunzel, like, oh my gosh, we can't go back. We've bought all this merchandise. We're doing this.
Right, so, look, it's amazing. And if you look back, you see Hashem's hand and everything, of course. So it really got to the point when I was living in Chicago that thank God all the YouTube tutorials and blogging was getting a lot of feedback and a lot of enthusiasm. at that point, I was buying my materials. Like I bought like a wig grip from like a shaitel store. So I knew about that, and thank God it wasn't falling off anymore. And then all my scarves were from thrift stores. So people would be writing to me saying like, where can I get that? You know, the scarves I found are slipping off or not the right size and anything. And I'd be like, like, can't really help you out there. And I was actually getting to the point where I was getting a bit of a phobia every time I wanted to create a tutorial, because I was going to be like, oh no, people are going to ask where I got this and I'm not going to be able to tell them. So it was very, and you know, there were enough people saying like, oh, you could totally turn this into a business. And I was like, guys, I'm a classical musician. Like, I don't know anything about business, and business people are sleazy. Like, why would I want to do that? Like, you know, right. Like money, I don't deal with that. Like, you know, that's yuck.
Right.
So then my now ex-husband, but my husband then and I moved to Baltimore, and it was amazing. Like we were approached by a couple that lives here, and she was like the head wrapping lady of Baltimore, and he was looking for a new business venture, and they kind of said like, hey, like you've done this whole thing with Wrapunzel, and she's like, you know, into wrapping too. Like let's turn this into a business. And I was like, okay, I guess I have some savings. I can do that. Sure. Like I was like, you know, I was a Canadian Israeli citizen. I couldn't like legally work, but sure, I can invest money into the American economy. Like, let's do that. Right. So thank God, like, you know, that was really like the push, like that, you know, got me to actually do that. And they were with us for a year, and it was a like fun year working together, and they're doing other things now. But that was like what took Wrapunzel, and it was really at the right time because you know, I wasn't serving people anymore if I was creating these tutorials and I was not providing them the tools. Like it felt like it's true. Like, oh, look how beautiful, but you can't do it.
Right. So what's the point? Because now it's like, what's the point? Like she has this great style. What's the point of me doing it?
Exactly. So just, you know, and so we just started stocking the stuff that I loved and like manufacturing, you know, these shapers that go underneath, which I'll talk about, and all this stuff, like, you know, these no slip things that allow me to ride, you know, if I want to ride a sports car. I don't have a sports car, but if I had one, I'd be able to ride it without worrying about it slipping off. And like, I want to make this as easy as possible. So all the tutorials and the community group and like, you know, just it started off, and it was a lot of work. Like, thank God, but like I didn't have kids at the time, so I could stay up all night doing this. And, you know, like, and then by the time I did start having children, then, you know, hired some employees to start helping out. And it's blossomed. I was like counting today, I have like 10 people working for me. It's amazing. Like, it's like, it's really like, it's a real thing now.
That it should stay a real thing forever until Mashiach comes. And, you know, it's funny because you mentioned the shaper. I mentioned the shaper. I think that Wrapunzel was my first shaper, believe it or not, when I discovered it. And thank God I did. I was telling this story when I had Yocheved on. Again, I was getting married, you know, I was like, first of all, I had no idea what a shaper was, right? So I was always like in awe, like what kind of Jewish girl magic are you doing that it stays all together? And
right, like I've got some crazy dreads out here. I mean, I have hair, but like.
Exactly. And I remember I was getting married, no shaper. I had this like elaborate style. I had to look for the picture, but I had this like elaborate style. And I was just praying the whole time. Not that I'll be an Ashes Heil. Not that I'm going to have a fabulous marriage. Please don't let this fall. That's my whole prayer. Don't let the Rav see my hair. Don't let the men see and I'm praying. It's an hour from here to Queens where I was getting married. And the whole ride, I'm like, Hashem, please. I don't know how these women do it. Maybe they're praying to you all day. I don't know, but like, you got to help me out here. And he did. It was funny because after the wedding, it still stood together. We're going out to eat. And then, you know, it's funny. We went to this restaurant and there was like all these like old Israeli guys that were there, like they're really old guys. You could tell they probably came from Eretz Yisrael together and they just stood together and, you know, they're loud and so then finally I feel the inevitable, like things are going
back. Oh, it's the worst feeling.
I was laughing and I was literally like mid-laugh, like, and I just froze because I felt it going down. And I looked at my husband. I put my hand over my, you know, what was left of it. Because at this point, it almost like, like when you go to the hairstyle, they just put that towel over because you're like, I said, that's it. Like Cinderella, the clock is striking 12. My slipper is falling behind. We got to get out of here. Like, And I was like, literally out of Dodge. Like, let's get out of here. And I was like, thank you, Hashem, it worked out. And by that point, it's like pitch black. Nobody can see anything. But I'm literally, so my whole elaborate style now almost looks like, when you get out of the shower and you wrap your hair with the towel, like that's what it became at the end.
Oh dear.
Take us through, for those girls who were just like me, what's a shaper? What's a headband? What do we need?
Let's just say that what's going on underneath this is more important than what's going on top. And as women, we know that that's very important, a very important concept. We got Spanx and all the other stuff that we do, right? This is much more comfortable.
The fishing line and the tape, we've got it all.
Yeah, don't do that if it's not comfortable. Whatever, be comfortable. But so basically, if you're wrapping a cloth in a circular shape, it makes sense in terms of physics that as time goes on, it's going to slip off. And our hair, some people have more coarse hair, but I certainly don't. My hair is fine and silky and it's slippery. So putting a piece of cloth on your head is going to slip off. That makes sense, right? So, they invented these for sheitos in the beginning, but they started off using them in tichels as well. It's like these like velvet, but it's like a special kind of velvet that has the grain is not pointing up, it's pointing sideways. And if you put that velvet on your head with the grain pointing in the opposite direction of the way your hair goes, then it's not going to slip off, right? And so when my friend, gave me one of these, I was like, my world was completely changed, because I too was walking around kind of like this, and you feel and we wrap and panic. So that completely changed my life to begin with. And then on top of that, so the women that have a lot of hair and you just pull up your hair in a scrunchie. But what I love about the shaper is it really gives you surface area to work on, even a lot of women, even if
mirrors, because people truly believe I have a lot of hair under here and they have no idea.
Exactly. So even someone with there's many different kinds of coarse and textured hair, but even women, let's say with huge long dreads down her back will often get a shaper. They might remove some stuffing, but it just gives it's a cap that goes underneath, and it's basically got velvet at the front. There's different shapes. We have 6 different styles of shapes, all of them with removable stuffing depending on how much hair you have. But they basically have that velvet at the front, and then kind of like a cap with either some stuffing or no stuffing that you put on that you slip on your head. And it's basically like a hat, and it's basically your canvas to work on. And most people find that if they're not wearing one, they might have I too wear just the squares really to holes, when I go hiking and stuff like that. But if I want something more elaborate like this is going to give me the surface area to really be working. And some women like to go up, some women like to go out, some like just a little small bun style. You depending on your face shape, you'll decide what works for you. But they've been completely revolutionary. But most people don't know you have it. They're like,
oh my God, yeah. But I'm telling you, it literally when I discovered the shaper, there was no going back. There was no going back. And I have so many of them now.
And you can use it as a pillow for a nice nap. It'll stay on.
Especially when you're in the car and you're just laying back, right? And it is so comfortable. And I gotta tell you, you really, after a while, if you said, if you wrap it right and you get the right one, you don't even know it's there.
Right. And actually, for some people, at least, I suffer from migraines. There are days when, I'll tell you about, so I actually don't wrap full time anymore because I'm no longer married. But there are days when I'm having a headache, and I just I need that pressure on my head to feel centered. It just really, really helps my headaches. And again, we have a whole I think. We have a playlist, or we have a whole bunch of videos devoted just to wrapping if you get chronic headaches and how to do that.
That would be really great, because there are a lot of people who do suffer with this, and it'd be really helpful to for them to have something to look at and to say, yeah, I can do this, or so I'm just so blown away, just with all the I mean, Hashem is really giving you like you guys have kind of thought of everything: headache, hair, take the stuffing out, like, because not every shaper you can do that. You cannot do that with every shaper. And I just, if you don't know what a shaper is, that is the first thing you should get. Like, before you even buy your tichel, like, get the shaper.
Yeah, because anything, like, you can use a dish towel as a tichel and it will look good if you have the shaper. Like, the shaper just gives you the shape. Like, it's true.
So
like,
right. It is so true. It is so true. Don't be like me. Don't be like me on the wedding night. Don't do Cinderella. That is a no. Like, it just wasn't a good look, and you won't get anything done because you'll just be praying to Hashem all day. Like, just please let it all stay together, you know?
Right. And you don't want to feel that way. You want to feel confident and be able to do whatever you need to do in life. And this should stay on. Right.
Yeah, and you want to be able to laugh at your friend's joke, and because even like the face movement, it starts moving and you can feel it. You can feel it coming off, and you're like, oh no.
Dreaded feeling of it slipping off. No, and we have women that are, horseback riding and rock climbing, like, and doing like this amazing there's like the amazing African dances where they're really moving their heads around, and like, they figured out how to do it with our products, like, and like it's amazing. So they're doing a lot more head banging than I am. But we've all been to great weddings where we just really want to dance so much, and
Yes.
you should be able to do that and not feel like your tichel's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing you want to worry. I mean, it's called a simcha for a reason, right? Like, you want to be happy, you want to be able to be engaged with your friends, probably you didn't see them in a while, your family, whoever. And the last thing, especially, it's almost like, the like people who wear clothes that don't fit and they're always fidgeting.
Right.
That's what like wearing a mitpachat without a shaper is. It's like always constant, and so it almost like you're not confident. Everyone can pick up you're not confident. All I can tell you guys is get the shaper. Like, just get the shaper, and it's so well worth. Like, you have to have it in your arsenal. I think you should have more than one style too. I think. I have all kinds. I have some that just like for the squares that you can hold them and they kind of just like do the shape of the square. I have the ones that go out. I love the Rambam style.
Yeah.
Just because it's so simple for the morning. It's like at work. It's not so, if I'm going out for a simcha, then I'll get like more like, look at me,
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's so many things you can do.
And it's one of those things, like, if you are going to do this, like, then you owe it to yourself to do it in a way that feels good. Like, no one wants to go out there feeling insecure, not confident. Like, like, you owe it to yourself to do the research and, get the support that you need to do this in a way that feels good for you. I think, and that goes really for every aspect of life. Like, we all owe it to ourselves to really delve into those things and really do what makes us happy and learn well.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. And this is what I love about Wrapunzel. There's something for everyone, really, really, really. And Belly Netter, I'm going to link to your site. And Besrat Hashem, I really would love to link these videos too with the migraines and I still have, by the way, I still have all the pieces for my wedding. I've never worn it again, but I still have all the pieces, right? But I think what's so great about your site, and I gotta tell you, like, I even love looking at the first ones, like the beginning ones, right?
Yeah, they're beautiful.
It's funny because I remember even for like this interviewing when I was looking at some of the old ones, and I remember like coming across ones I saw when I was first starting. My thought was like, oh my gosh, look at her now. Look where Hashem has brought her. Look at all the tutorials. Look at all the people that have come forward and show us so many styles and how to do this. And it's really like taken off. And who knew you can do so many things like with a scarf, right? Like, who knew you can do so many things? Like, it's amazing.
Amazing. Literally, I mean, look, I've got two on now, but like with one scarf, the amount of things you can do with just one scarf and one accessory, it's like, it's infinite. It's amazing.
I mean, is your brain at this point like always thinking of wrap styles? Like, is it always like cooking stuff up there now?
Honestly, it used to be, but like, I have amazing community members and employees now who do it too. So it's like, before, like, again, usually when someone starts out, like, it's like so overwhelming. There's so much out there, so much to try, what works for me. But like, if someone takes it slow, then she'll develop her own creativity. And then, yes, I have my creative spurts now, but it's not like it's not like it was before. Before I really was thinking about it all the time. And now I have, other things in my life, like that I have to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so amazing, and I think that there really is a lot of fun to be had with doing it. All the colors, all the styles. The other thing, I really would say on top of the shaper is learn the weights. The weights of the tichel, because like right now, like it's summertime when we're recording this, and it's actually for us here in Connecticut, it's like a heat wave.
It's 99
and I gotta
degrees
tell you,
Fahrenheit here, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have my shaper, I have my scarf on, and I don't really feel I'm not dying. I remember the first year that was another trip to the rodeo that I did not look forward to, was like wearing the wrong weights in the wrong season. Right. And so, I mean, it's funny. It may seem overwhelming. It really isn't. You'll get the knack of it like really quick. It's just so amazing how much you can do. T-shirt styles. I remember there was like a time I was looking for, I had this, like, I call it an illness, but I have to match everything. And I remember one time I had this outfit, could not find for the life of me something that would go. And I saw this infinity scarf. And I actually took the infinity scarf and cut it along the seam. Yes. And that was my hack, And so now, every time I look at a scarf, even if it's not like coming from like a tichel store, I'm always thinking like, what do I have in my closet? It's like I'm taking a mental note. Hey, that would really go. And sometimes I think it's at the point where I buy the outfit around the mitpachat. In other words, I buy the mitpachat first, and then I buy the outfit. So it's really crazy, like how much it really grows with you, and you grow with it. And it's like a relationship you have with the mitpachat. It's beautiful and it's amazing. And it's just, I can't wait for people to like have fun with your videos. And now, the great thing, guys, is that there's products to go on the videos. And what I also love too is that you have these kits.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've not been on Wrapunzel, like, yeah, and you're new to it and you're like, oh, wow, like, I really like that. There's kits.
Yeah, we have like collar kits and beginner kits, and like we have capsule kits, and like we've got kits. Yeah.
I mean, there's kits, there's accessories. I mean, I need like that, sometimes that kind of guidance, because I don't know that, like, I love colors and putting things together, but I think in the creativity, I think this is what's so great about Wrapunzel too. Like, let's say I just want to break out. I want to go wild today. Like, right. Like I want to do it. There's something there for you. And if you're saying, I want to be muted, I've got a job interview, there's something there for you. I mean, guys, there's something for everyone. So really, I really encourage you to go and check out Wrapunzel. Like I said, like, I really know, because I don't want any woman should go out without a shaper. Get all the colors, have fun with it. And if you're new and you're saying, I'm not sure if this is for me or whatever, do what a lot of us have done, which is do it at home, right? Get yourself accustomed to what you look like with it on, get comfortable with it, get your husband comfortable with it, get your kids comfortable with it, get the cat and the birds comfortable with it, and then, go outside, maybe for a Shabbos, maybe just for Friday night, and say, I'm going to cover this way. But I think there's so many choices and things that you can, tap into. And Wrapunzel really is a place for you to go and be able to get that information, to see different styles. It really is a great site, guys. So I'm just really, again, so happy that we have you on, that we were able to hear so much about your journey and how Wrapunzel started. And I really hope that, I just hope it just, like I said, it keeps taking off, and that, who knows, maybe in my mind, I have a dream that perhaps the way to cover the majority will be people who do it with the mitpachat, because they'll think it's so much fun. But at any rate, wherever you are, we're here for you and we support you. And I mean, is there any parting words you want to say before we take off?
I think it's very important for me to say, like, look, if you're going to cover your hair, like, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself and to Hashem to figure out a way to do it beautifully. And that's going to be different for every woman. But like, we all have these beautiful neshamas in us, and they deserve to be expressed in this world. And, as someone like I used to cover full time and I can't anymore, and I miss it. So to find out,
Oh,
no, and that's true. And that's really like,
yeah.
it's actually like, it's a whole psychological reason that like I was given the heter because it was important for me because of the business and everything. But like, for someone to hear about someone that, is doing it full time and doesn't enjoy it, it's like, you just really, my job is to like give someone the tools and the support and the community to be able to enjoy it, because it's awesome. It's really,
Yeah. And thank you so much, especially because, you're not married, you don't have to do it. And yet it's almost like you're still doing it with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with everything, and I thank Hashem for putting women like you in this world who will, it's Mesirat Nefesh. It's really, I really feel like there's sometimes in our lives, right, that Hashem calls us to do something, and we think at first it's just about us.
right.
And then there comes this point where we realize it's not, it's barely about us, but it's about everyone else. And it really takes a special neshama to hold tight with Hashem. And to know that you're sacrificing for something greater than yourself. And I really think, we're talking about how fun this is and everything, but I mean, the service that you have done, I think that in Shemaim, every woman that has ever walked this earth from Klal Yisrael, I know that they love you and they're behind you. And I want you to know I'm behind you. I'm sure all of our listeners are behind you. I support you in everything that you do. And I wish you nothing but the best and behatzlacha. I know that you love this mitzvah, and I got to say, I know this mitzvah loves you back. I know that this will be just such a great zechut for you in Shemaim. I'm actually really jealous. I'm going to say that, guys. I'm really jealous. She got a great, but
we're all going to be dancing one day when Mashiach comes. I think also when we talk about happiness and fun, it's the greatest mitzvah to be happy. And Hashem created this world out of love, right? And it's life is hard. This mitzvah is hard. It's hard to cover your hair. So it's as I was just saying, we just really owe it to ourselves to figure out a way to find some joy in it. It can be all joy like me, or it can just be a little bit of joy, or just, it's no, Hashem does not want us to be miserable doing his mitzvahs.
Right.
So it's just,
the feast of purpose. It really does. We're supposed to be connecting to Hashem with these mitzvot. So, I mean, all right, guys, I want you to go on to Wrapunzel, have fun, log on. And thank God, I'm going to have a coupon code on the bottom. If you want to go on to Wrapunzel, look at the coupon code and below, show some love. And again, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to give some hizuk to the women. Thank you so much. I wish you all the behatzlacha in the world. Hashem should bless you. And I pray that there will be actual stores that you'll be able to open up and people just go to and just say, just because I want to get a new tikkun. But that's it for today. And I hope we'll all be together again soon. B'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you for all the work you're doing. Thank you. It's great to meet you. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this video or know someone who would, please share it. Sikul mitzvot. If you'd like to be notified of upcoming episodes for the Mitpachat Chronicles, click subscribe to be notified.